Cable. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Friday, 8/15, 2025, and I had the best day yesterday. All the announcements, the NBA schedule release we're going to get to next, MLB, and a great article in The Athletic, which you should subscribe to, which Andrew Marchand came out with all of the details about what MLB is doing with its TV deal. And the only thing I could think about as I was doing what I guess is modern day Wordle or any sort of game trying to stay sharp. As you get older, you got to do things to stay sharp. Crossword puzzles or just work, do a show every day, do something. Yesterday, I was doing what I thought was a Venn diagram, looked it up, wasn't. Then I thought it was a flow chart, looked it up, remembered, wasn't. Then I thought it could have been some sort of calculus, looked it up, no, it wasn't. I was writing down where to watch, what I wanted to watch on a daily basis for different sports. I was trying to come up with and picture this amazing piece of art as you sit down and create something that you didn't go to art school for. There's no way that it's worth anything at all, although your penmanship may be good. And it's a grid, like the Immaculate Grid, which shows NFL, MLB, NBA. Then you put days of the week on the x-axis. You put stations on the y-axis. You have to put Netflix. You have to put Apple. You have to put Peacock. At the very least, you have to put Paramount. You have to put the network. You have to put ESPN. You have to put all sorts of things. And you realize that the only chance you have is that you have to have a rotation in your brain. So when you go to watch something that you want to watch starting immediately, I'll say next season, but next season is sometime now, this year. What you have to do is know, all right, I'm going to start with Apple TV. Then I'm going to go to ESPN. Then I'm going to go to Peacock. Then I'm going to go to Netflix. I'm going to go to Amazon. And all you do is you have it. You can do it in alphabetical order if you want. You can do it in the order that your apps appear on the menu of your TV. You can do it whatever way you choose, but you got to make sure you get through them all. Otherwise, you won't know where the games are. Or you can do something else, which is super fun. You can make a grid that you just keep with you like a guide. It used to be that we had to buy TV Guide, and that's what would show what's on TV. Or we'd have to buy the newspaper where it would have the TV Guide of what's on TV during what hour on what channel, and we would refer to it. Then something epic happened, and it was called cable. And on cable, you had all sorts of channels and a guide. And you would go to the guide because you'd press guide when you had a remote. Before you had a remote, you had to hit the buttons on a box to get to the guide station. And you look and you wait. You have to wait for it to pan down. Channel 1 through channel 100. And then it would go to the next hour or the next hour. But you'd have to wait. Forget searching. Or if you were really good, you'd get the guide, the TV Guide, which had the week of TV, and you would keep it in front of the TV, maybe Xerox the pages. That's what you're going to have to do now. You're going to have to write down every single network, every single sport, every single night. Then you're going to Xerox it, keep it with you, maybe save it in your notes app on your phone. And then when you sit down on a random Wednesday night, hi, I'm David. What do we got? All right, Wednesday night means I gotta check. Here's it's very simple what we're gonna do for the NBA. I mean, that's a simple one. It's very clear. I have to go to ESPN. That's just Wednesday. Now, if it were Thursday, I'd have to do Prime, but it's Wednesday. I can't remember what day it is. Oh, it's Friday. Oy, crikeys. That's Prime and ESPN. We'll get to it, Coca. I'm just warming up. I do want to start with MLB, though. Coca accused me something about 18 minutes ago as we were preparing for today's final show of the week, as we are already midway through August. And he said to me that you really do favor or carry the water for or are something with MLB. Ironic after we did something about what the commissioner said vis-a-vis the Minnesota Twins yesterday and the reaction I got from many people in Cooperstown. But let's pretend that none of that happened and that I am here to tell you that I am all about MLB. You're only right in one instance, Coca. I am all about what MLB is trying to do with its broadcast rights because I want them to show ESPN that walking away from the 550, where ESPN said, hey, that's too rich for our blood, that's a bad deal, all of that poppycock, I want MLB to look ESPN straight in the face and say, see you later. Not only do we not want to deal with a declining platform, but we are going to get more than 550. Am I rooting for that? You bet your sweet bippy I am. But what's the reality? According to sources, according to people at The Athletic, Andrew Marchand, ESPN's going to be involved in the new package that MLB is doing. But the good news is that ESPN is not going to be exclusive. They're going to be a little cog in the wheel. So it's like MLB came close, but Jimmy Pitaro had a panic attack and said, wait a minute. Baseball has all this content during the summer when nothing else is doing, WNBA notwithstanding. What are we going to do? We can't have nothing from post-NBA finals to when the NFL preseason games start. Oh, yeah, I don't mean NFL preseason. Who cares? Wait a minute. Everybody cares. It outdraws everything. NFL, there's a window in between. We got to get content. We got to get highlights. We have to have stuff to show our people who are paying $29.99 a month for our new app. So does it make sense to you that the rumors are out that no deals have been finalized, but it looks like NBC, Peacock, and Apple TV are going to be taking over Sunday Night Baseball, one of those two? ESPN may add a weekday game and some digital presence. Whenever you read that a network's going to have a digital presence, just know what that means. That's their ESPN digital, like used to be in your thought, maybe ESPN Plus. Now it's ESPN, which is the DTC app. Direct to consumer, that's a digital presence. That means they're buying highlights, the right to show highlights. Is it possible that Netflix will end up being the home of the home run derby? Of course, that makes perfect sense if you're MLB and if you're Netflix. Netflix, they love their events. Home run derby, it is the event of the summer. Now, it's possible that Paramount will have some events now that they've got UFC, although there'll still be some pay-per-view. Or is it possible that something else will happen, or Roger Goodell will wake up tomorrow and say, I've got an idea. I want to own the summer too. We're going to spread our 18 weeks out, and we're going to have a football game on July 4th. Who knows with Roger Goodell? He's always trying for more, always looking for more. But in the meantime, the home run derby is a big one. Now, all these deals that MLB is doing, keep in mind when you read them, they're all going to be 3-year deals. The reason is that MLB wants every deal they have to expire in time for them to redo all of the national deals, including the ones they have currently with Fox, including the one they have currently with Turner. They want everything to expire at the same time. So the thought is that for 2029, once there is a new labor agreement, which there will be by 29, I promise, and once there's sort of been a settling, maybe after the 28 Olympics, wink, wink, there'll be a whole lot of excitement for huge, like NBA type deals where MLB owners can finally get their piece of the broadcast pie that they think that, and they do, deserve. The reason why it is so interesting to me is that the reward of this strategy is off the charts. The risk of this strategy definitionally is greater than when you stagger your expirations. In business, you'd always be wiser to stagger expirations of employee contracts, of supplier contracts, of sales contracts, anywhere along your supply chain, because if everything expires at once, you're at risk that if you don't get something done, then all of a sudden you have no way to plug the hole because you're just screwed because you have so many things that you have to do. That's the risk. That's the reason why you don't want to negotiate with every one of your employees because they all expire the same day. You want to take it over time each year. Very normal. The risk and reward calculation of having your broadcast deals up is you feel you've got the leverage. If you've got the leverage and you have everything expire at once, you get to go out to the market with everything and extract way more money in counterparts, because that's what MLB's deal will be in 29. It's not going to be just with Netflix, just with Apple, just with Peacock. It's going to be spread around all the networks the way the NBA is and the way the NFL is. But when you have everything to sell, the theory is you'll have everything to gain. I'm in. I love the leagues do that because they've got leverage. They've got the live content. They have the opportunity to make the most money that they can by doing it this way. Very smart of MLB to do it. So in order to do it, they've got to take this ESPN package that disappeared, Home Run Derby, a bunch of playoff games, Sunday night games, and they have to bifurcate it, sell it to different platforms, keep everyone on the hook for after 2028. And then when they're so excited that they've got baseball and they've got the Home Run Derby and Netflix is showing it all over the world, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, don't be surprised if when Netflix gets the Home Run Derby, no matter whether the All-Star game happens or doesn't happen in 2028 with the Olympics, if we'll talk about that another moment, but with the Olympics, there could be a question about will there be an All-Star game, et cetera. But you can bet that Netflix is going to acquire the worldwide rights to the Home Run Derby, and you can bet that you are going to see a Japanese player in the Home Run Derby. Will it be Shohei Ohtani? Will there be a deal cut for Shohei Ohtani to appear in a Home Run Derby before 2029? That would be super interesting to Netflix, would it not? Netflix Japan is no small entity. Assuming Netflix Europe, Japan, every Asia, assuming they are all part of this Netflix Home Run Derby possible deal, it would come with what drives traffic. So it's a complicated thing when you're negotiating. That's why we talked about the timelines yesterday, Coca, where the commissioner said by the All-Star break, and it wasn't going to happen. The reality is that it takes time when you're putting together different pieces to a puzzle. But if anyone can do a puzzle, Coca, it is Noah Garden and MLB. And we are certainly seeing the breadcrumbs that are going to lead to the announcement that are going to make me happy and that are going to make you dream of the days that you just had cable television. Having cable television is something that you were all upset with. You couldn't wait to cut the cord. Now there's a whole group of people called the Never Quarters. They're not called that, Coca. The Never Cutters, the Never Cablers. It's people like my children who never were able to cut a cord because there were no cords to cut. Then there's people my age who cut the cord trying to be cool and then realized, wait a second, it turns out that what I've done is created a whole bunch of new cords that I have no idea how to cut. Maybe that's an age issue. Cord nevers. Thank you. What did that take, like 10 seconds? I'm like 50 seconds past it. You had to look it up, Coca? You didn't have it in your head? You had to look at. Were you in the chat? Did someone in the chat just drop a cord never? That's okay. Thank you. I don't know what I called it, but it is a cord never. That's what my kids are, cord nevers. I'm a cord used to, and now I'm a cord wannabe. I long for the day of having the cord because I'm looking at the NBA schedule release yesterday. I've been memorizing lines recently, just in case. So I took it upon myself, and I don't want you to try this at home because it's complicated. It takes time. You have to have energy, and you have to have the ability not to sleep. But here I go. I think I can do this. Sunday, ABC, and then Peacock. Monday, it's Sunday, Monday. Sunday, ABC, Peacock. Tuesday, Peacock. Monday, Peacock. Tuesday, Peacock. Wednesday, ESPN. Thursday, Prime. Friday, Prime. Saturday, ABC. I think I got that. Let me check. Let me check, Coca. NBA released its schedule. Oh, so close. Sunday, ABC and NBC Peacock. Monday, there's games. Peacock. Tuesday, NBC Peacock. Wednesday, ESPN. Thursday, Prime. Friday, Prime and ESPN. Saturday, Prime, and ABC. That means Prime is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Peacock is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday's ESPN. And ABC gets Saturday, Sunday. You know what I love about this NBA? I do. Kajagoogoo. Roger Goodell, are you jealous? There's national games every day. There's 247 games. The NBA released its whole schedule. It's not like the NFL. Is the NFL the league where everyone has those creative schedule release videos now, and you have to allocate money on your social media team in order to come up with some sort of brilliant idea of how to release a schedule and try to go viral? I think what the NBA does is they just release their schedule, and all of a sudden you're looking and you're saying, wow, 1, 2, 6, 15, 28, 4. That's 247 national games. Last year, there were only 172. No wonder James Dolan is miserable, despondent that he's losing all the ability to have these regional network games, because now so many games are national. The good news for NBA players, and the good news for those of us who don't enjoy load management or realize that NBA players get very, very tired every time they have to play back-to-back, don't you worry. No teams will have more than 16 back-to-backs. Quick math on that, just so you know. 16 back-to-backs, coincidentally, same number they had last year. And 16 times 2 is 32. 32 out of 82 games. That's 3/8, folks, for those counting at home. And even if you're alone, that is a large percentage of games that are one part of a back-to-back. But let's celebrate it. Here's another good one to make sure the national broadcasters are happy. Can you imagine this, Coca? Adam Silver walks into the negotiation and the networks are like, we got to make sure your big stars play during all of our games. We don't want to do a nationally televised game on Martin Luther King Day and have Kevin Durant icing his Achilles. We need him to play. The NBA said, we've got just the thing for you with our scheduling. No problem. We're going to give every team that's playing a major nationally televised game. Major, not minor. Major. No definition of major in the CBA, but we'll look into that. Maybe Pablo will find out the definition of a major national television game, which is code for no side-by-side. But we'll talk about that in a minute. The NBA said, here's what we'll do for you. We'll give everybody an off day the day before. It's so good. It's so good. And the language is specifically no games the night before a major nationally televised game. Now, we didn't say anything about an afternoon game, but we promised you none at night so the players can all go night early, because NBA players, like MLB players, they are on a night off. They are in bed at 8:30, lights out, cable off, nothing, phone down, nothing happening, nothing doing, Pat Summerall. They are going to bed and resting up for your nationally televised game because they want to play so badly and they want to be in peak physical shape to produce the type of audience entertainment that you're paying for. Yeah, just like that. Hold on, I need my wallet. I got to come up with a quick extra $3 a month. I'm going to give that to Peacock because that went up $3 a month, but I'm an annual guy, which is good. So that's $30, piece of cake. Then I'm going to keep track of what the increases are going to be on Netflix and Prime. But don't worry, I get free toilet paper sent to me on the second day, which is huge. Very happy to be a member of Prime. I do love Amazon, I admit it. Let's make sure that you're all clear. To all the executives watching, hi, I'm David. I have a show called Nothing Personal. I'm absolutely ready to talk about, because Coca and I are teammates here with Jack with our show Nothing Personal. This is not about me impugning your network. I love your network. I love your financial muscle. All I'm saying is that you're funny. You're all funny. You're going to sneak in price increases all the time. I'm good. I perceive the value. Is there going to be a moment when you go too far and people say, I'm not interested in the Mavericks against the Knicks on Peacock? I mean, who wouldn't be interested in the Mavericks against the Knicks? You've got Ewing against Luka. That's amazing. And by the way, on a side note, I'm exhausted thinking about the NBA schedule because they used to care about us. Do you know when I was young, Coca? You can look this up because 79% of the audience does not remember when the NBA finals were on tape delay at 10:30 at night. You may not remember that, Coca, and you're going to deny it. You're going to say, David, you're delusional and wrong. There was a time when the NBA finals, and I remember it like it was yesterday. All my troubles seemed so far away when I could just stay awake and watch the NBA finals with tape delay. What's the difference? I couldn't exactly. I guess I could call 976-1313. Or I could what? No, there's not even headline sports. You didn't know what happened during the game. You watch it. Tape delay, not tape delay. Hi, I'm Brent Musburger. That's what it was. Anyway, now that there are streamers involved who have huge international presences, one of the things you'll read about the NBA schedule, get ready, is that there will be 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern games, part of the Tuesday night doubleheader on Peacock. 11 p.m. Eastern. Come on, man. Some of us have shows at 7 a.m. the next day. We need our 8 hours of sleep. Otherwise, we're going to get bags under the eyes that can't be cured by the Amazon Prime special of the eye mask that you put on for 18 minutes prior to every show. There's no way for me to recover after watching games at 11 p.m. What happened to you caring about the Lord's time zone, Zaz? I'm not really upset. I'm in. Before the show, Jack said, well, I guess I'm not watching any Warrior games. And what I didn't want to say to him is, what? That means you go to bed before 1:30 in the morning? What are you talking about? Who wouldn't want to watch basketball on a Tuesday night? It doesn't matter if you're tired. Wednesday's hump day. If you're going to do a late game, wouldn't you prefer it to be Thursday nights? Is there anything worse, side note, Coca, than when Monday Night Football kicked off at 9:15 p.m. Eastern and you're in the East Coast and you're watching it till 1 in the morning and it's only Monday night? You wake up Tuesday despondent beyond repair because you're so exhausted and you're like, oh my God, it's only Tuesday? Do you remember that? But if it's a Thursday night, then you're like, whatever, I can do that because it's Friday. It's Friday. I can get through Friday. Who can't get through a Friday? And then, boom, you're up to the weekend. I love what the NBA did, and they were very clear in their schedule release. This is not about the U.S. It's not about the East Coast. It's not about the West Coast. The NBA Europe, having games in Europe, having games that are on at a particular time in Europe. This is real. For those of you who think that streamers are solely focused on the United States of America, it's time to wake up and smell the roses, man. They are far more interested, not far more, that is hyperbole. They are equally as interested in what's going on outside of the borders of our wall-less country, or, did I say lawless or wall-less? Can't remember which I said, Coca. Lawless. Wall-less. I could just say lawless, and then you'd say, oh, does he mean he wants a wall or doesn't he want a wall? Does he think there's a great rule of law or doesn't he think? I never know what this guy's thinking. Now we're talking. But I like what he's doing. I like what Adam Silver did as it relates to NBA Europe. And is there going to be an NBA Europe? How does he want to do that? He's leaving his opportunities open, but making sure that he takes care of his partners by sending Victor. What's your vector, Victor? Well, Victor's vector is going to be making sure that he's going to play in 4 Saturday matinee games. Players love playing in matinee games. They absolutely dig it. They get to have dinner with their family. They love waking up at 7 in the morning. It's just ask Red Sox players. They dream about Patriots Day being every day. Having an 11:15 a.m. baseball game, it's like, oi, this is amazing. I'm just going to push right through, go right to the ballpark from wherever it is that I'm spending my night before. Why does it matter that the Spurs and Victor Wembanyama are going to play these games? Just think about why. Think about where he's from. Yes, it's true. France. Think about the interest that the streamers have as they're calculating. Think about when you can get money from someone and you say to them, you have the ability to exploit the rights that you're buying from me. You can exploit them in the United States, but you can also exploit them in Japan. You can exploit them in Europe. You have the entire world. And it used to be, if you're the local ABC station, not all that exciting. If you're the national NBC station, not all that exciting, because people in Prague are not paying attention or can't, even if they want to, unless you're at Harry's bar. But for the streamers, hey, no one knows where you are. Well, they know. No one cares. You get to watch stuff. Do you get where this is going? Because it all makes perfect sense. So, here's my conclusion on all of what MLB and the NBA schedule release. Just have a Xerox machine handy. Have a printer, have something, have a pen, paper, where you can write down all the different channels for the different nights. You can color code it. All you need, you get a little highlighter, and I've got my highlighter ready. I've got my Nothing Personal with David Samson pad ready. And what I do is I write down where I need to watch what, and then I have no stress. Now, if you're as crazy as I am, not crazy, just, you know, I'm going to do a grid. Not just I'm going to do like a 3D multi-access grid. Days of the week, channels, and the cost per channel. I'll get back to you all on what the result of that grid was and what exactly we're all paying, because it's fascinating. Review. Do you know when a show starts, it's time for the review? I watch a movie every day or watch a show I told you I was going to watch. Do you know what I love? I love when a show starts and it's going to be an 8-episode arc. It's sort of like when White Lotus starts and there's a body floating by or a body being loaded onto a plane, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm going to spend the next 8 episodes figuring out who the body is, why the body is in that position, how did it get there, who did it. Untamed. There's a body. And it's a weird one. When you're rappelling down a mountain, here's what you're thinking. I'd like to make sure that my clips are firmly put into the mountain. I'd like to pull on the rope and make sure that I've got a little slack, but not too much. And I want to make sure that I'm not Han Soloing the whole thing. Then all of a sudden you look up as you gaze at the blue sky and at your partner above saying, hey, it's going great. We've got this. Do you have any more sunscreen? Oh my God, is that a body? And then a body falls off the cliff right over you. What a nightmare. But it sets up quite an 8-episode arc. I'm pretty much a Sam Neill guy. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Well, that's Richard Attenborough, and that's a terrible accent. I didn't say I could do accents, but Sam Neill, you've seen him. Yes, you've seen him. Did Sam Neill play the husband? A dingo ate my baby. I actually don't know the answer to that. That's a movie called The Cry in the Dark by Meryl Streep. I have no idea why I've got Friday brain at the moment, but I'm thinking of things that I don't think about very often. That was a movie that was so good. I used to imitate that movie all the time. A dingo ate my baby. That was a true story. I think Sam Neill was in that, but I don't know for sure. But yes, he was. Way to go, David. Coca, do you ever look at me and say, I can't believe he won't get to the frickin' point? We're trying to make clips here. Untamed was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't know who did it. Then I found out who did it. And I said, oh, it was Colonel Mustard in the pantry with a revolver. I totally get that. I didn't see it coming, but now it makes total sense. Let's do a quick review of all the Easter eggs that happened during the course of the show that would have led me to believe that it was Colonel Mustard. I thought it was Miss Plum. There's a season 2. Does that mean someone else falls off a cliff? I don't know. It's fine. I enjoyed it. Eric Bana is cool. I'm going to watch a movie. How is it possible, Coca, that Everything's Going to Be Great is rated so low on IMDb with the cast of Bryan Cranston and Allison Janney and Chris Cooper? I think when you put those 3 people together, and I'll find out this weekend, I'm going to review it Monday. It's called Everything's Going to Be Great. There's no possible way that you put those 3 people. We're talking to me, Academy Award winner in Allison Janney, Academy Award winner in Chris Cooper, Bryan Cranston, he's won a bunch of awards for a bunch of stuff. Anyway, I'll find out. I'll tell you Monday. Everything's going to be great. I don't think everything's going to be great for Brian Flores. And I'm on an island here. But it's my understanding, Coca, in case you're thinking of suing Meadowlark, I just want to point this out to you. And I'm not telling our HR people once I find them. I'm not going to tell our lawyers because I don't want to speak to them for more than 6 minutes because they charge in 6-minute increments. However, were I to speak to them for 4 minutes and I said to them, I'm just curious, if Coca and I sue Meadowlark, should we be expected to keep our jobs? How's that going to go? Will that be good? I don't understand how Brian Flores continues to work in the NFL. Brian Flores is suing the NFL. He is a defensive coordinator for the Vikings. I had to wait to see the guy would never get another job. Remember, he's the lawsuit. Hi, my name's Brian Flores, and on behalf of all minority coaches, I'd like to say that we don't get a fair shot. We don't get a chance to coach more than once, and we're lucky if we can get a chance to coach one time. And I want to sue you, the NFL. Meanwhile, I'm submitting my resume attached to the complaint. And I'd like to point out, look at how well I did with the Dolphins. I've learned a lot. And I believe I deserve and I can really help your team. Trust me, we will have the best regular season and that's it. I promise you no playoff success. Just hire me. I don't want to make this about Brian. I'm not anti-Brian. Nice guy. I just don't think that you should sue your company and then expect to keep working there. But that's exactly what Brian Flores did. Why are we back in the news? Well, there's been a ruling. Get ready. The NFL is scuffling as it relates to its legal rulings against it. They are on a losing streak, the likes of which would make the New Orleans Aints look like Super Bowl contenders. There has been a ruling that says that the Brian Flores discrimination suit he and other coaches filed, a federal appeals court has ruled, and they just ruled this yesterday, that the process of arbitration that the NFL has, where Roger Goodell is the one who serves as the arbitrator, that process, that makes no sense. The judge wrote a decision saying the NFL forcing its people to submit a claim to arbitration, that I can deal with legally. But when you're forced to submit a claim to arbitration and the arbitrator is one of the parties, that's not ideal. Just picture this. You have a dispute with someone, against someone, and you go into an arbitration, and the person who's supposed to decide is that same someone. What would you say? Would you immediately want to settle that? Would you immediately say, wow, I probably shouldn't have brought this up because I'm not going to win because I'm going against the person who's deciding and there's no way to appeal it? This seems patently unfair. Well, the courts have now agreed. This is a huge moment for the NFL, and it bleeds down to Major League Baseball. Do you know Major League Baseball? There are things that we sign where Rob Manfred or someone appointed by Rob is an arbitrator settling a dispute. Do you know that in the NFL that you would be subject to Roger Goodell or someone who Roger Goodell controls settling your dispute? Can we agree that our court system has done the right thing in finding, well, this really would have a quashing impact on people bringing up any sort of dispute? Of course. The whole point of the clause that's in the document that you sign is not to sue the league. The league doesn't like getting sued. They don't like having to defend that which they do, that which they believe, that which they discuss both inwardly and public facing, or inwardly and outwardly facing toward the teams. There's a lot the commissioner's office does on a daily basis as it relates to their sport. And it would be way better if they were not subject to any of the rules that most bosses and companies would be subject to. And when you've got something that someone else wants, they'll pretty much sign anything. It's sort of like young musical acts signing away their future rights and saying, oh, that wasn't smart of me, but man, I realized that I had nothing. And then I had more than nothing. I could have had way more than something, but I wanted to settle for something above nothing. That's why I signed this. When you are trying to get into baseball or trying to get into football, you're willing to sign the documents. We negotiate with baseball before we sign the agreements that we need to sign when we're buying a team. But my God, do we give in? We give in on provisions that normally you would never give in on. And you give in on them because you don't want to screw up your approval. Because the commissioner's offices just say, hey, keep arguing. But when it comes time for me to suggest whether or not the owner should approve you, I'm just going to say that you required changes and that these changes are going to be difficult for the owners to wrap their arms around, which, of course, the other owners could not give a flying rat's pituitary gland because they just know what they're told by the commissioner's office, who says, oh, you should approve this. It sounds a little backwards, doesn't it? But it's not. It doesn't feel that way when you're in the middle of it. It feels like you're part of a club, and you're part of an exclusive club where you know the rules of the club. The problem happens is when outsiders start looking at the rules of the club and they say to themselves, these rules really don't seem fair. As a matter of fact, these rules seem to violate the law. So then you get a situation where the Second Circuit says very simply that the NFL Constitution's arbitration provision contractually provides for no independent arbitral forum, no bilateral dispute resolution, no procedure. Uh-oh. That's exactly what they meant it to be. The Second Circuit continued. It offends basic presumptions of our arbitration jurisprudence. You're goddamn right it does. That's the whole point of it. We're trying to offend jurisprudence. We don't want there to be fair dispute resolution. We want you to lose. Why? Because if you know you're going to lose, you may not start the fight. And now we're talking. The NFL has a small issue here, Coca. They got to deal with this. They don't just have to deal with the Brian Flores case. They have to deal with cases going forward. They have to deal with contracts going forward. And they have to come to the realization that this grift, it's over. The thing that's been in existence for decades has now officially come to an unceremonious end. The courts have spoken, Roger Goodell, and they have given you a firm no mas. That means you're going to have to change the boilerplate on all these agreements that you do going forward with all the private equity firms and everybody else who buys teams for 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Come on, Jerry, do I hear $20 billion? The NFL does not want to change their boilerplate agreements. They don't want to remove those arbitration clauses. But guess what? They have zero choice. I am so positive the NFL is going to change all of this language because of this ruling, which they're done. Supreme Court, not interested. This is it. They have no choice but to change their documents. And the way they'll change it, and mark it, Coca, this is an official wait to see. When we tell you something's going to happen, if it does, fine. If it doesn't, fine. Roger Goodell's days as an arbitrator in the NFL are over. There will no longer be agreements which state that Roger Goodell, the commissioner, will be the arbitrator of any disputes between parties because he is the party. That's a wait to see. I'm not anti-whistleblower. I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world. I think that self-policing is good. I understand that we have to protect whistleblowers. I understand that we need whistleblowers to shed light on certain things. In the old days, whistleblowers were just called witnesses, where there's a case and you bring someone in and you put your hand on the Bible and you say 7 years ago, I saw Adam. And by the way, the other thing I saw was all sorts of nefarious activities with my company, but no one's listening, are they? No one's recording this, are they? I would never want to bring this up and bite the hand that feeds me. Speaking of which, who would bite the hand that feeds you? Can you imagine working for someone who pays for your checks and still MFing them all over the place? That's funny to me. Side note, let's talk about Pablo Torre. Every day, if I can work Pablo Torre finds out, our algorithm has told us that if we say Pablo Torre finds out 3 times, Dan Le Batard twice, and Roger Goodell once, with every other day mention of Jerry Jones, plus LeBron, all you know is that the algorithm digs it. Don't tell me that Jack and Coca can't figure it out. So instead of doing segments on all of that, what we promise to do at Nothing Personal, because we want to keep doing the things that are interesting to us and to you, that every 2 days we're going to need a new segment. And the new segment is just called the AS, the algorithm segment, where you just stand there and say, LeBron, Dallas Cowboys, New York Yankees, Roger Goodell, NFL, Moror, lice, plague of your firstborn. No, I do enjoy saying the name. Pablo, Le Batard, McAfee. What are you even talking about, Coca? The NFL Players Association. Pablo Torre finds out that guy did it again. He did have a great episode yesterday. If you didn't watch it, it's about the new union head. We told you about David White, the SAG-AFTRA guy. We told you when he got hired, there's some stuff in his past you may want to learn about. And it may get in the way of him becoming the full-time ED, which it won't, because all you have to do is dial 1-800-I-NEED-ED. But what happened yesterday was quite interesting. There's a name. I don't know if we should mention the name, Coca. It's mentioned, but I don't believe that we mention names of whistleblowers or if people have been put on administrative leave, except everyone else did. So if you want, we'll say it's Heather McPhee. We'll even put it on a lower that Coca does if you're watching Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. Heather McPhee is a lawyer at the NFL Players Association. She's the one who brought up, hey, there may be some bad stuff going on with Lloyd Howell. So I think that we ought to do an investigation about some of the stuff that he's doing, but shh, let's keep it to ourselves. Oh, look, Lloyd Howell, because of Pablo, gone. Well, guess what? So's Heather McPhee. Just yesterday, totally coincidental, having nothing to do with any of the whistleblowing or any of the things she brought up against the beloved Lloyd Howell and J.C. Tretter, they put her on administrative leave. As though that's what we do in baseball with people like domestic abuse or bad things. You're on administrative leave. What that means is that you get paid while they investigate whether or not it's true that all of the people complaining about her and all the things that they're complaining about, are they right or are they wrong? Now, the NFLPA would love for all of them to be right. Why? Because Heather McPhee, sources say, not mine, but sources told ESPN, that Heather McPhee was the one who was bringing up all of the bad things. Therefore, she's actually the source of all of the shows and then all of the actions that had to be taken and all of the players who were so upset to have to get rid of Howell because the devil you know is normally better than the devil you don't. Normally. Well, they did it. A bunch of people made complaints that Heather McPhee was bad in the office and that she created a bad work environment to the union, that she was bullying colleagues. Now, it's not nice, it's not fair, it's not right, but it is common that when people go to HR, and it's illegal, so you can't really do this, but it happens all the time. People go to HR and say, I'd like to make a complaint. You can't believe what's going on with Joe Cocktoaston. And HR says, oh, we hear you. We feel you. We believe you. Give us 5 minutes. Hey, David, team president or CEO, we got a situation here with John Cocktoaston. What are you going to do? Well, that's not a situation. Who said that? Well, I'm not allowed to say Heather McPhee. Cannot tell you what happened, Heather McPhee. What are you going to do about it, Heather McPhee? You're going to put her on leave? Oh, no, don't tell me that. Just inform me. CC me in an email and we'll be covered. You think these things don't happen. I'm here to uncover it and tell you that's exactly how it happens, except they can't tell you that's how it happens because it opens them up to more legal challenges and more issues. Yeah, it's true McPhee was outspoken and a critic of Howell. Of course that's true. And it's true that Howell lost his job because of all the things Howell did. Also true. But does it now mean that they need to come down on McPhee? Yeah, that was about as expected as the sun set after a long day at the beach, wondering, wow, should I reapply? So what's going to happen? Well, Catherine McPhee is not going to get her job back, except she has a job as a singer, David. Let's 4869 that, if you don't mind. It's Heather McPhee. Why was it? Oh, she's married to David Foster. I was just thinking about David Foster because I love St. Elmo's Fire. That's all. That's what was in my head. Let's do it again, Coca. 4869. The problem with Heather McPhee and what they're doing with putting her on administrative leave is that she'll never get off administrative leave. The chances of Heather McPhee walking again into the headquarters of the NFL Players Association are zero. The reality is that she is going to be let go after some sort of settlement that will give her an amount of money. Why? Because you do not want it out there that you unceremoniously dumped her. You want to start with administrative leave. You have to absolutely investigate any HR complaints, no matter how fabricated they may be, and then you move on from that employee. Why? It's not that I'm saying I don't like whistleblowers or that I don't appreciate them. I'm just saying you got to deal with them. Shh, no one will say that part. But it happens. Boy, does it ever happen. Now, it doesn't take away from the issue that the NFLPA has with this one team. Remember the one team company where you've got Tony Clark and Lloyd Howell were investors. They were on the board. Somehow they were getting some money. Was it under the table? Was it over the table? Was it through the side compartment? Was it in unmarked bills dropped off in an unmarked sack at the first floor of the saloon frequented by the head of the NFLPA and the executive director of MLBPA? We don't know. But what we do know is that the NFLPA is not done getting slammed by Pablo. Nothing personal pick of the day. Last night, we had the Guardians minus 138 over the Marlins. Boom. Cabrera, who can really pitch, did not have a great game. We are 109 and 102. We are rolling. We have 3 picks for you because it's the weekend, and we're Loverboy. Friday, we have a Padres-Dodgers series starting. This is a big series. Padres have a 1-game lead over the Dodgers. They are alone in first place. If they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, they're still tied for first place. And the Padres against Clayton Kershaw tonight. TBA, one of my favorite starters. He has been on fire. I mean on fire. Well, TBD is plus 156 over Kershaw and the Dodgers. We're taking TBD plus 156 tonight. We'd be crazy not to. His slider is nails. Saturday is Corbin Day. It's Corbin Day, baby. And the Rangers are playing the Blue Jays. I love this pick because the Rangers have not been playing well at all. And the Blue Jays, they're trying to hold off the Red Sox and the Yankees. You're going to want to beat Corbin on Corbin Day. Saturday, Blue Jays over Rangers. Sunday, this one's for you, Coca, for you to enjoy your weekend because you know that whenever I go against the Mets win, and God knows the Mets need a win. Here's what you're hoping. Please don't get an early lead because you're just going to muck it up. Sunday, you got Bruno Kirby going against Clay Holmes, and I would take Kirby. Not Bruno, of course. Take Kirby over Holmes. Mariners over Mets Sunday. Well, it's Friday. You know what that means. Coming up after the break, live, it's Matthew Coca. Welcome back to Friday, August 15th, 2025. This is hour 2 of Nothing Personal. And there's nothing better than ending the week the way we do. Ever since the start of June, when we've gone to 2 hours, thank you for all of your support. Thank you for downloading, rating, subscribing, resubscribing, getting on YouTube, Nothing Personal with David Samson, watching us on the DraftKings Network. We appreciate you. Keep going. But Friday's hour 2, what does it mean? Here he is. Look at him. It's Coca. Welcome back, Matt.
I forgot to do something last week, and it left me mortified. 2 weeks ago, I went to Nashville, as you know, for a bachelor party, and a Nothing Personal listener set up a dinner for us at the 1230 Supper Club in Nashville. His name's Steven. He's a waiter there. And I told him, I was like, listen, I'm going to shout you out because I appreciate this so much. You took care of us. And I forgot to do it last week. So I need to start this off by saying thank you so much, Steven. I appreciate you. You took care of us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Was it free?
No, it wasn't free, but he was a great guy. He helped us out, and he got us in there, got us a reservation. Yeah, but well, congratulations. This is my turn. This is my time. This is my time.
Do I need to be here?
Thank you, Steven. I appreciate it. Well, I think anytime a listener does something nice for us, we should shout them out. We should let them know that we appreciate.
What are we going to do?
But he still did
everyone every day.
He still does that. You're supposed to. They're the people we should be caring about.
How was your week, Coca? How you feeling?
It's been good. I want to talk about Andre Dawson in that interview that you had with him yesterday, because there was something that you had talked about with him that I didn't really know before, and I didn't really understand, and I don't think you explained it well enough for the rest of the listeners out there. And it's about the collusion and what happened with Collusion in the late 80s. Can you sort of explain to me what that was, and what's the difference between what was happening then in the late 80s and what is sort of alleged now, when people are all crying collusion, collusion, collusion in sports? This seems to be a real type of collusion, something that Andre Dawson unfortunately had to go through.
Collusion is a word that's used in sports. It's a very ugly word, and it's a word that all team presidents and owners are scared of, because collusion's against the law. You cannot collude with your fellow partner in order to quash the earnings potential and power of an employee. It's not allowed. It's sort of like price fixing. You're not allowed to have a monopoly. It's why we try to get these transactions. They have to be approved, because if something's bad for the consumer, then they don't want that. It's why certain mergers don't get allowed. Collusion is the same type of concept, which is if there's only 30 people who have the ability to pay for someone's expertise, and they all get together and they say, we need this expertise. We want a guy who can hit 300 and hit 35 home runs, drive in 100 runs, score 100 runs, and help a team win. But let's all make sure we don't pay him more than $1 million. The reason why we have made it so that is illegal is that if it were the case that you could do that, every employer would always fully collude. They would always follow the same theorem that we've all had and all have, which is I want to get the most I can from my employee and pay him or her or them the least. And
well, can you get to? Can you just get to the thing that happened?
Coca,
but this is something.
Dawson said it. He said he couldn't get. He was a free agent. Picture Pete Alonso, free agent. He made it through arbitration, gets to free agency, and all of a sudden he looks around and the phone doesn't ring. Not one team will even call him. And then if he reaches out to teams, they all say, Pete Alonso, great job. You've been really good. $5 million a year for 2 years. That's our offer. And they're all offering the same thing. That's collusion. That's not allowed.
So what had to happen to stop that from happening?
a grievance had to be filed and collusion was found to have existed, and the owners had to pay a huge amount of money to the Players Association, which was distributed to those players who got screwed by the collusion. Andre Dawson went public and just said it straight up. I couldn't get signed by anyone. I was in Expo and Charles Bronfman offered me a 200 grand pay cut, and I'm in my prime. And then I go to the Cubs and they won't offer me a contract because the owners colluded with each other. We will not make an offer to your player. And you can offer your player any amount you want, but we're not going to compete with you. We are quashing all competition. We are colluding against the possibility of increased cost of the workforce. It is against the law, which is why in every owners meeting, Coca, every time the NFL, and this was the collusion, Pablo Torre found out this collusion grievance, Coca, all it is the NFL and MLB say the same thing in every owners meeting. Don't overpay for that guy. Don't overpay for that guy. Don't sign this guy to a long-term deal. And then the labor department stands up and says, but do whatever you want. And that's not collusion.
Well, I hope the league starts colluding against the Mets because I can't take it anymore.
Okay.
I can't. No, that's the thing is that you said it yesterday. You're like, oh, the team is okay. Everything is okay. They've blown leads, blah, 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 blah. It's now been 52 games where they've been bad. That is a third of the season where they've been bad. They're 19-33 in their last 52 games. They just blew another lead yesterday. That's 6 straight games that they've blown leads. They still can't get a starting pitcher to go 6 or 7 innings. When you're
Senga was great yesterday.
When you have a team meeting, let's say you have a team meeting, how do you get like the bulldog out of a player? Like, how do you tell the starting pitchers, hey, we need you to go out there and we need you to give us 7 innings? Because right now, the Mets staff, they don't have anybody. They don't have anyone who has that sort of mentality that's like, listen, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to strike people out. I am going to get those outs. So the starting pitching is bad. The bullpen is bad. And then when they go down in games, they can't come back. It's like once they give up a lead, the whole team is just like, here we get. They're like the fans now. It's like, here we go again. You know, we know it's been bad. Here we go again. And it happens again and again and again and again and again. And now they have a half-game lead over the Reds for the final NL wildcard spot. So I know yesterday you said, hey, things are going to be okay. But, you know, does losing a series to the Braves, does that do it to you yet?
Who hurt you as a kid? Like, what happened here? Are you okay? Because this is really something. I thought you loved the Mets. Why can't we did a whole thing last week of how much you hate them, but I thought that the line between love and hate was very, very thin. So my perception of what we did last week is that you were really just in your own Coca way professing your love for the team. But now this week, back to back, I'm thinking that you may not actually even like them.
No, but don't you want best for what you love? That's what I want here. I want what's best, and what's best is not laying down. Is not laying down every time you lose a lead. Is not having a starter go 3 innings. You know, these guys are paid $17 million, some of them, a year to just go out there and pitch baseballs, and they can't do their job.
Reference? Is that a Montas reference?
It was, because that's the contract.
In the bullpen?
Yeah, who's now in the bullpen. So it's just, I'm just trying to understand, like, where does that mentality come from? Because we talk about team meetings. We talk about team meetings sometimes, and some team meetings work, some team meetings don't. Because you look at what the Brewers did, where the Brewers were very, very average. They had a team meeting. Yelich stands up and he says, "Hey, you know, everybody just stay calm. We've got this. We're a great baseball team. Let's just go out there and prove it." And they do it. And then you have a Mets team that's like every week they have to have a team meeting. It's like, dude, just go out and play.
Do you remember when this season started? And we'd have to go back and research it. I believe the Milwaukee Brewers may have lost a game to the Yankees by 40 runs when the season started. Do you remember that first opening series where they just got crushed? I think that was this season. And
what team was that? Say it again.
The Brewers against the Yankees.
That was the torpedo.
Like
was that the torpedo bats?
Yes.
The start of the torpedo bats.
When the Yankees were just crushing. And so team meetings are the following. You know this from nothing personal. You're only as good as your next night's starting pitcher. And it is true that the Mets starting pitching, though Senga's been fine, and certainly was last night. It's your new guy, the Cardinals closer, Helsley, where you don't realize that going from closer to eighth inning way harder than you think, almost as hard as going eighth inning to closer. It's totally a different mentality. And you do want to build depth in your bullpen, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the thing when you are the Mets right now is that you can't have any more team meetings. There's nothing more to say. So they're not calling more team meetings to talk about the slide or talk about the 52 games because it's like this weight. What I would do if I were Steve Cohen with the Mets after losing the series to the Braves, knowing that they've got this half-game lead, I'd take them to Vegas. I always love doing that. Some sort of fun trip. Take them to the Caribbean. You've got your own charter plane, and you've got the team plane. It was easy for us to do trips like this for our players because you've got the plane. And you just say, hey, we're going to make a stop here for 8 hours or 12 hours or 18 hours. I'd be looking at the schedule and looking for a fun activity for the team to do outside of baseball. Maybe a miniature golf tournament. Something... Maybe a bowling tournament.
Yeah, well, the problem there is that the second hottest team in baseball is now in town, and it's the Seattle Mariners. So there is no let-off. There is none. Now they have to go out and prove it against a pitching staff that we know is significantly better or has been better than what the Mets have dealt with. And, you've got Cal Raleigh, who wants to win MVP coming to town. Julio Rodriguez has been a lot better. Maybe Eugenio Suarez. Maybe this is where he gets things going. Who knows? But what I can tell you is that our dear friend Scott Riley, who is a bigger Mets fan than I am,
yes.
Admitted to me the other day that he was finally ready to turn off a game. And that is a major moment.
Let's tell the audience who this is. He is a high-up executive at CBS Sports HQ. We've worked with him for many, many years. And when I'm doing the World Series with him, and we're in the office in the studio up in Stanford, he's a lunatic. He cares about the Mets in a way that makes you look like you've never heard of who Darryl Strawberry is. And I've never heard him say that he's ready to turn them off. Is he saying, and I don't want to make this too much about Scott, is he saying in his mind the season's over? Or he's frustrated by what's happening?
It was just we were just so disgusted of blowing a 6-0 lead that it was just like, what more is there? What more is there to watch? I turned it off, and School of Rock was on TNT, and the way that I tortured myself there was I just listened to the commercials and then muted the TV when School of Rock came back on TNT.
So you did the opposite of what normal people do, which is to watch the show and mute the commercials.
Yeah, I was just like, just blast the commercials into my ear. This is all I deserve.
I just want to say on behalf of Major League Baseball and all of its executives, I apologize to you. We're trying to add pleasure to your life, and it feels like all we do is add pain to your life and Scott's life, and we don't want that. Now, it is true the Mets have lost, 9 out of their last 10? Are they on a 1-9 stretch?
It's not good.
That is not ideal. And do you know if they have any games left against the Reds, or is that season series over?
No.
We'd have to check that. I don't want you to do 3 things at once on Fridays. So for the people not watching this on
they do. September 5th, 6th, and 7th, they're at Cincinnati.
That's a big series right there, quite obviously. But what you don't see is Coca, when he's looking in the camera, can't be looking at his 17 monitors where he's researching as the only person on the show right now because Jack is getting ready and doing clips and doing DraftKings Network stuff. But Coca tries to do 4 things at once. So if you're watching this on YouTube or DraftKings Network, when he's looking right here, he's not actually researching or looking at his computer. When I need him to do something, he has to look to his right, and it looks like he's not paying attention, and he's away from the microphone, and it's super awkward for him, but I think it looks normal. So feel free to research stuff when we're talking.
Okay, let's research this, because the Atlanta Braves were the team that just won the series against the Mets. So I was wondering, how does MLB plan to go more national when it really blew my mind, and I don't know why it took me so long to realize this, but the Atlanta Braves are really the only team in like that southern southeast region above Florida. So how does MLB plan to go national if you're missing out on the Louisianas, the Tennessees, the Alabamas, the South Carolinas, the North Carolina? Like, that whole region has no baseball. So why are they trying this? Like, why isn't expansion something that's getting brought up more before they go national by saying, hey, now we have the whole map covered? You know, the map is covered now. And
are you okay, Coca?
I've got the trusty map.
Are you
Look,
okay?
There's the trusty map.
That doesn't look like the country's covered. We're looking at a map of where MLB teams are. Yes, it's true. Atlanta looks to not have teams. I would assume the Nationals are the closest team to Atlanta, probably 200 miles apart. But what are we talking about here? What's that team just to the left, right in the middle there with nothing around it? What's that one right there? Do you see that? Not the California teams, not Seattle, all the way up there. That looks pretty alone. Believe me, I've flown from Miami to Seattle. That's a schlep. But there's a whole team right there that looks like it may be near the four corners. I can't tell what team that is all alone. What are you talking about? There's no league that has teams that are scattered everywhere around the map. What team? Football? The NFL?
Yeah, but there's just one team in that region. Like, if you're from Louisiana, you know, and you live by New Orleans, like, you're going to be an Atlanta fan? No, because the Saints fans hate the Falcons. So it's just like you're already losing that group of people because they're not going to be rooting for them. If you're from Tennessee, you're not going to be a Tennessee and Atlanta fan. So it's just like I just feel like if you're going to go more national, get more of the map. You know, there needs to be more teams
they are
down
Atlanta
south.
Fans, because Atlanta used to be a nationally recognized team because of the Turner Sports Network, TBS. They were the Cubs, really, and the Braves were the two teams that were beloved around the country, for sure. And you know, with expansion, MLB is looking at Nashville as a very serious possible expansion city. But it's funny, we don't look at it when we're thinking about expansion. We know for purposes of divisional alignment that we need another West Coast team and another East Coast team. We know we want another West Coast, maybe, you know, Mountain West time zone team and an East time zone team. But it's not like we put up a push pin and all of the places and say we want to make sure we get full coverage across the 50 states based on location of teams. We do it based on TV territories, but that now, the whole point of the shows this week, that's going away. Blackouts are going to be the way of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. There is going to be now with streamers the ability to be a fan of any team you want, watch any team you want, regardless of whether you've got a major league team in your backyard. And what you didn't show on the map that you showed all of us is minor league teams in all of the cities that have professional baseball on a nightly basis where you can go live to a game. Minor league baseball draws hundreds of millions of fans, but all of baseball does. So I guess my thought is that I'm not concerned that Atlanta is not close to a team, though I think they're sort of close to Tampa.
Well, I think part of being a fan is the ability to get to a game. You know, part of being a fan is the ability to grow the game by getting kids into the stands to experience these games. So there's someone in the chat who's like, Coca thinks that Alabama needs a team. No, I don't think all 50 states need a team. I'm just saying we should split the difference. Get people in that region the ability to go to games so they're not having to drive, 10 hours to get to a game. If you split the difference and you add a Tennessee and you add Nashville in that region, you add the ability for people in those regions to go to more games and to create more fans. That's all that I'm saying. All I'm saying is that Atlanta's not the only place that should have a team in the South. That's it.
I'm going to let it go. We're going to move on because I have nothing more to say on this because I think the chat has said it all. That said, I think when you set up camp in Bozeman, because that's where you choose to live, you're doing it saying to yourself, you know what? I may not be close to a major professional sport, and I'm okay with that. I may be wrong, but that's my
I'm
view.
just saying the other sports are there. So there are no other sports in Bozeman for you to say something like that, but there are sports. The NFL is in Tennessee. The NFL is in New Orleans.
Can I throw out something, Coca, before we move on, if you don't mind? Last year at this time, do you remember when I climbed a 14er in Colorado to raise money for charity with a friend of mine? whose daughter had passed away.
Yep.
Well, I was asked to do it again this year, and it's today. So right after this show, I am going to be not climbing a 14er for a second year in a row because it was so hard that I refused to do it again. But the father, Javier Soto, is doing it again. He's doing it today. So you can follow that. And obviously he's raising money for charity because his daughter is still passed away. So he's going to be doing this forever, raising money to help people who need help. But I'm just giving a shout out because he's about to climb and it's harder than you think. And the people who climb 14ers are not necessarily focused on, oh, I'd like to go to a baseball game. Just throwing that out there.
Okay. I bet you, but when they come back down the mountain, they're probably like, hey, I wonder how the Rockies did today.
Which is unreal.
Anyways,
do you see how the Rockies draw?
Yeah, no, but I just want to do something. While you're talking about charity, I think it's good to bring this up because I believe on Le Batard you had talked about, maybe you talked about the Kansas situation with them getting the $300 million from David Booth. Well, did you see what happened yesterday where Phil Knight donated $2 billion to Oregon's Cancer Research Center for cancer research and to double the size of the center? And they're calling it the largest gift ever to a college institution.
So I don't know how that'll become NIL, but I am super thankful to him. I don't know what kind of cancer they study or what they can do to hopefully they can save lives because there have been lives that we've all had that have been touched by cancer. I had not seen that, Coca. I think it's tremendous. I hope that the money is used well. There have been a bunch of kinds of cancers over the course of my lifetime where treatments have totally improved, and there's a bunch of cancers where it's still a death sentence. So I certainly hope that that money works, but I didn't know that. That's great for Phil Knight. Now, he gave it to the university, not through like a stand-up to cancer.
I think it was to the Oregon Cancer Center itself, but I believe that is part of the university because you know that he is the
Yes,
biggest Oregon donor and probably in the history of institutions, he's probably the largest donor that there ever's been. So the article itself said that it was for the research center specifically, and just doubling the size there and just making sure that the money is going to where the money should go to.
Are we saying that that gift is better than what David Booth did to Kansas, where he was giving $300 million and that money's going to go to the athletic department and it's going to go to athletes? Are we saying that the $2 billion, let's pretend it's the same amount. Let's say that $300 million to a cancer center is better use of $300 million than to build athletic facilities and pay players?
I'm not going to be the one to say it, but
I want me to say it.
We could say it.
It's a way easier sales pitch to get someone to give $300 million to an athletic facility and to players, because you get a hell of a lot more at the coffee cocktail parties by saying, hey, look, I gave money and Kansas is in the CFP and we're about to win the men's national title in basketball, than it is to say, hey, look, we have a trial that 10 years from now has a chance to save a ton of lives because we're going to help out with the cancer treatment. Which is sexier? I happen to think the cancer treatment's way sexier. Way. Not even close. But most people at a cocktail party, they want to be close to athletic greatness.
It sucks. It's
not perfect.
I went to go see Weapons on Tuesday.
On a school night? How late a show did you go to?
AMC, I went to the 8 p.m. one. AMC does, during the summers, they're doing 50% off tickets on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So you can get 2 tickets for essentially the price of 1. So it's great to go in there when you can. But this was the thing that, I don't know if it bothers me. I haven't had the talk in my brain yet if it bothers me or not. But Weapons is one of those movies that is supposed to be like, have this deeper meaning. It's supposed to be like one of these like hidden meaning sort of things behind it if you're watching it. And you have like all these YouTube videos that come out after it where people are like explaining, what this means and what that means. Like, do you think when movies like that, would you rather have the director after the movie's been released just have like the bonus features like they used to have on like DVDs just come out and just let you know, like, hey, this was why I made this movie? Or do you like playing the game where it's like, let me try and figure out in my own brain what happened, even if it's just completely wrong?
Well, I've become an immediate gratification guy because of Google. It used to be where I would have a question or a debate on sports or on politics or on life, and we'd get to debate it for 15 minutes. We'd agree that each of us is right, and then we move on. Now we debate for 5 seconds at most, and then we Google it to find out what the truth is. It's reminding me of a show called Severance, and I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah.
But after the most recent season, I probably spent 3 days looking at people's YouTube videos who gave me all the Easter eggs that I totally missed. And it's like I watched a different show. So is that what you're referring to, that you watched Weapons, and then afterward you looked at these YouTube videos, you're like, oh my God, I didn't notice that, I didn't see that, I didn't understand that? Or was it people who were just trying to tell you stuff that you already noticed?
No, it wasn't like one of those like, oh, this is like a little Easter egg thing, like you missed this. It was the whole movie itself is supposed to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, for using this, like an allegory for something different. Like something different had happened in the real world, and the director put this movie together to just sort of like share his grief about a situation, and talk about like things that happened in the real world, but in a horror movie sense. No, in a horror movie sense. I mean, I didn't say anything that's happened in it.
Well, does something bad happen? Is it scary?
Yeah, it's a horror film. It is, but I just want to be clear here. The movie is incredible. Like, it's an incredible movie. It's so, if you're a fan of horror, it's such a fun movie where it's like they have the jump scares mixed in with like the funny moments where they're using like humor in situations that you'd be like, oh, that shouldn't be funny, but it is funny. Like, the movie itself is excellent. It was just the after part of it where it's like you're thinking to yourself, like, did I understand it? Like, and then you just start questioning yourself because there are these people on the internet who are like breaking down frame by frame, like, this is what this means, this is what this means, this is what this means. And then
you
you're
don't
just
have
like,
to watch that.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I mean, like, you don't need to watch it, but I think it's still fun because one of my favorite viewing experiences ever was season 1 of Westworld. Did you ever watch Westworld on HBO?
No.
Oh my God.
Too scary? Is it scary?
No, it's not scary. But Westworld was like the first show where like you just jumped on Reddit. You just jumped directly into Reddit and you fell down these rabbit holes of what theories people came up with trying to explain each episode of the show, because it was one of those shows where like your brain is just melting the whole time. You're like, oh, what's going to happen? What does this mean? What does that mean? And that to me was like such a fun journey about using like people on the internet coming together as like a community to like try and decipher this show. And I thought it was really cool and it was really well made. And I think you should watch the early parts of Westworld because the later parts just got a little crazy. But like season 1 is,
what's the
is a 10
commitment
out of
level?
10. I'm not good at remembering the number of episodes, but like just watch season 1. You know, just give yourself that and just like watch season 1. It is so fun.
I rarely do that, Coca. I mean, I will watch it, maybe. I'll put it on my list. But if I go in, like I go in. And now there's an example where I went in and I haven't been able to finish. I am 5 seasons or 7 seasons done with Shameless, but I've way more and I just have not gotten back to it. And I feel like it's hanging over my head like I haven't turned in a term paper. It's driving me completely crazy. So I can't just watch season 1 of Westworld. I'll end up having to watch the whole thing. But if it's sci-fi, then I'm not interested in that. I mean, it's not that I'm not. I just don't know that I'll allocate my time to that. But thank you.
Yeah,
I don't go crazy, Coca.
I can't explain it to you. Yeah, I can't explain it to you. It's just something that like you either jump in or you don't, and you just never watch it. But you can't. Yeah.
The show we did this morning, the first hour, when we talked about cable and we talked about all the different channels, you're young and I count on you to give me a different point of view. Did you not, or did you agree with my take on that? Does it matter to you what channels things are on, or is this just part of the way you live your life now?
No, it definitely matters to me. It definitely matters.
So you were annoyed at the NBA schedule release, or you were excited?
The thing that annoys me about the world that we're in right now is just the level of experience that you have on these apps. Because when you used to just turn on cable and you had to buy the sports package, you got all the sports channels, which is fine, and I love that world, and that is that was great for the consumer, but it wasn't because the people thought it was too expensive, whatever. But now we live in this world where every app is different. Every company has a different experience when you use their service. So like now it's like, okay, you don't want, a certain league to get on a certain streamer because you're like, oh, like here we go. This is going to be terrible for me. And there's nothing you can do about it because you just have to use that streaming service. So unless every streamer is going to up the quality of their app and of their platform, to me, it's still a major headache. But now you can pick and choose, So for everybody who says like, hey, I don't watch so-and-so sport, then you don't need to. You don't need to watch it. But if you are an NBA fan or a casual, like I think this is great for casual fans. If you're a casual fan of the NBA and you want to subscribe to Peacock and catch a couple of games a season, like that to me is great for the consumer to just be able to just pick and choose when you want to watch. You don't have to do a full season commitment like getting a league pass or something like that.
But you get so much other stuff. Here's the part of the argument that I have not been able to convince someone like Pablo, who I've argued with about this. When you get Peacock, not only do you get the NBA, you get the Le Batard show, you get movies, you get shows, you get a catalog of things, you get original programming. It's not just a sports. People are saying, oh, now I have to get Peacock, or this was the one that happened with our friends at Paramount. Now that UFC's on Paramount, I'm going to have to get Paramount. Well, by the way, you get a million other things too. So you're not just paying the $13.99 a month or whatever the price is for that particular app for only that sport. There's such great value for it, where to me, everybody's longing for the sports tier on cable, which had sports networks that you never would watch any of their programming. And if you were not a Royals fan, does it matter to get the Kansas City local regional sports network? You really going to watch the pre-post game and all the other crap they have on it? Other than that, forget it. But on the streamers, you're going to watch, since you're a subscriber, you're going to have all this stuff that you can access that you want to watch. I think it's so good for the consumer.
Maybe, but that's like, if I just want a burger sometimes, I just want a burger. Like, I don't want the...
What does that even mean?
It means that sometimes I don't want the fries, and sometimes I don't want the drink. I just want a burger. And that, to me, is what you're trying to say. It's like, no, you're going to take it, and you're going to like it, because we're going to give you, 6 seasons of a show that of Gunsmoke. You can catch Gunsmoke and Married with Children. Like, that's what you're trying to say. It's like, no, dude, I just want to watch NBA games, and now I have to have 4 different services that have 4 different qualities of service, and it's going to have 4 different groups of people calling these games. So there's going to be different studio shows for everything that's happening.
Does that bother you too?
I'm just saying that, like, I'm trying to explain to you how a fan can feel. Like, a fan can feel like it's just too much, because now we're adding in baseball. So it's like, if you're a baseball fan, and now we're starting to stack, right? So now we have the NFL places that you have to watch games, the MLB places that you're going to have to watch games, the NBA places that you're going to have to watch games, the NHL places, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And by the end of it, you're paying for every single service. So now your monthly bill is more expensive, and you're telling people, hey, at least you get to watch the new season of Stranger Things, even though you wanted to join here and catch a Christmas.
That's the fries concept.
And catch a Christmas game. Now you have to watch all the rest of this stuff.
Now I get it, Coca. What you were saying is the burger is sports, and the fries and the shake are the new seasons of Platonic and Stranger Things and White Lotus. And sometimes you only want the burger.
Yeah.
Oh, so let me get it straight. When you buy a burger and it comes with fries and a shake, do you say to the person at the counter, appreciate that, I'll just do burger? Don't you take the fries and the shake and give them to somebody else? Or take the fries and shake and say, hey, I'll have 2 fries, 1 sip of a shake, because they came with it anyway.
I mean, don't ask me
I
that
take
question.
the fries and the shake.
Don't ask me that
I take the
question.
fries and the shake, and then I give away or throw out what I don't eat, which is the same thing with the streaming networks. I get what I want on the streaming network.
That's what I'm saying is that you're paying to throw things out, and that's essentially what
every day.
But that's what the streaming is that it's like wasteful money. Is that now if you're a baseball fan and you want to watch a home run derby and it goes to Netflix, you have to pay. It's the same as pay-per-view. Basically,
but
you have to pay.
So much great stuff.
I
on
know,
Netflix.
but all I wanted was to watch the one thing that I wanted to watch. It's like going to the movies, and you have to sit there for 6 movies in order to get to the 7th movie that you wanted to watch.
Wow. So I really, Coca, I've got a big problem. Not a problem. I just have a different view of what you youngins think, because I feel like that you wanted all this choice. And now that you have all the choice, you feel like it's too much choice. You know what? It's like typical young people, and I don't view you as this, but now I'm beginning to change my mind, where you want something, you get it, and then you want something else. It's like a child. All I want is this one present. You get the present, you give it to them, you try to shut them up, and then they put it down, play with it for 1 minute, and then you've got stuck with a clutter of toys that the kid doesn't play with because you got to buy him new stuff.
Yeah,
That's
we're not the ones who did it. You could have said,
do it.
No, you could have said, hey, we're not breaking up the bundle. This is what we're going to do. We're going to keep cable, but these companies
made us break up the bundle.
Nobody made anybody do anything. Nobody made anybody do anything.
Cable.
No. Okay.
Everyone your age stopped getting cable. I wouldn't have gotten rid of cable unless you all got rid of it first. I'm a copycat cable guy.
The companies didn't need to do it, and they could have just kept cable, and they could have said, hey, this is it. This is the best you got, and then people would have had to subscribe. But you blame the children, but it's always the parents giving in to the kids. And you could blame us all you want, but you're the ones who raised us. So it's just it's tough to point your finger at the younger generation. It's not like they just spawned out of nowhere and now they're just here like a stork dropped them off. Parents have to raise their own children. So we were the ones who were raised this way.
It's our fault. We're used to that as parents. It's all our fault.
Hey, listen,
all
the reason I can't buy a house, what generation is that? That to me is more important than breaking up the bundle. So if we're going to point fingers,
hold on, are you asking for a raise? Is that what the
No,
tell me
no,
exactly
that's what I'm
what's
saying.
Right
I'm
now.
saying that we shouldn't. I'm saying that we all shouldn't need these raises to buy houses and then be blamed that we can't buy houses when my grandpa buys a house in 1968 for $30,000. That's completely different than me trying to buy a house right now because that same house would go for $1 million. But it's just like, it's tough because the younger generations continue to be blamed. It's just a blame game. Everybody's going to blame whatever.
House is worth $1 million now.
Well, he doesn't live there anymore. He doesn't live there anymore.
Oh, he doesn't. No. Where does someone live when they're in their 90s?
In over 65 community. So get ready, pal, because that's where you're. that's where you're headed next. I'm going to drop a couple of brochures off at your house.
Are there different layers in that community where, like, if you're 65, you live on your own and everything's great, and then as you get older, you move into, like, hey, they'll come visit you if you wear a necklace, like, twice a week, and then there's a place where you're actually getting 24-hour help? Is it all within the same community that you can, like, graduate to different levels of attention as you get older?
No, I think it's just like once you're in there, you're just locked in. Like they just locked you in, what is it called? Biodome. They essentially just lock you in Biodome.
Do they
and they
cook
say,
for
hey,
Grandpa?
No,
like,
he cooks for himself. Meals? No, he does everything on his own. He's the strongest person. He's the strongest person in my life.
Like, but is there a place for him to go in his community to get food?
I don't. Do they have like a community center? Why you want details? You want to call him up after the show and see what life's like for him?
Details because I have an idea of what these communities should be. They should be able to take care of you from when you're 65 to when you're 95, and your needs are different at 65 versus 95. And there should be one place. If you're going to make me move into a place and you're going to put me away, Coca, which, by the way, you're going to be negotiating yourself out of a job, but fine, life will go on without.
They're going to have a strong internet connection there, dude. You're still going to be able to do the show, but now you're going to be talking about what pickleball and bocce ball you played And what stopped working at the community center? Oh, the pool is too much chlorine in it, Matt. Oh, they're serving us these squishy brownies and gross veggies.
First of all, I don't like the pickleball shame. Do you know that a former pitcher of ours, Brad Penny, who was nasty in the World Series, he went on to pitch for the Dodgers. Just he had a great career. He's a major pickleball player now. Pickleball's for young people too. And I've gone now I'm thinking it's all AI. When I see pickleball points on YouTube or on TikTok or wherever, these unbelievable crazy points, are those real? Have you seen any of those?
Honestly, I've never watched a second of pickleball, and my life is better for it.
Wow, my algorithm may be quite different than yours. Because I get pickleball, I get ping pong points that seem impossible to me, and now I wonder whether or not they're real. I get tsunamis that I can't imagine those are real, but they may be.
Well, speaking of the younger generation, older generation, this is a perfect segue into what should be our final topic, and that's about Team USA Soccer and what's been happening with Christian Pulisic and Tim Weah, where they basically have come out publicly in this like docuseries and just essentially shunned the older generation of Team USA, calling their comments evil and saying that the feedback and the commentary that they're giving around the game, in a sense, is just shameful stuff. And this is a team that has been underperforming for years with this golden generation of players who haven't really won anything. And now you have the world.
1 second. Slow down and give me context here.
Well, I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to give context.
This is the most. Is this the best USA soccer team?
Well, this is what they've called. This is I'm just referring to them as what they're referred to. I'm not claiming that they're the golden generation. That's just what they're called. They're supposed to, because they're made up of a bunch of players that are playing overseas in Europe in some of the biggest leagues. So that's why it's something that hasn't. It used to be rare, but now it's something more common for a young player in the United States to go over and play overseas in these top leagues. So right now, Team USA is made up of all these players, but they look as bad as they've ever looked. And now you have another World Cup coming up, and the World Cup is going to be in the United States. So I don't have the document to read the comments, but you have the document in front of you, so you can sort of read to the audience what Pulisic had to say and what Weah had to say about these comments made by some of the Team USA greats like Landon Donovan and Tim Howard.
I will do that, but let's get some more information first. Is it the USA team now? Is that the World Cup team? Have they decided who's on the World Cup USA team already? Is that how that works?
Well, they've been playing some of these smaller international tournaments, and they just haven't really looked good in these tournaments. And they play their international friendlies, so everything is leading up to the World Cup.
I always have had interesting times with players when we talk about history and when we bring older players. I believe that Conine and Andre Dawson, a bunch of players have spoken to me about this, where it's common now that younger players just aren't as interested in what the older players have to say. They're not as interested in the pointers. As a matter of fact, there are players who I spoke to at Cooperstown who said that then when they go and they make appearances back in spring training for the teams that they represent, and that they are Hall of Famers, the best ever. They go back to spring training and coaches and players say, hey, dude, stop talking to the players because you're teaching them stuff that we don't want to teach them anymore. Don't talk to me anymore about secondary leads. Don't talk about two-strike approaches. Don't talk about getting runners over. We don't teach that anymore. We're about getting down on the knob with exit velocity and launch angle and waiting for the 3-run bomber. And so the young players, therefore, do not have the respect for the old players that they should, because they view them as dinosaurs, which got me thinking. When I went back to camp this summer, there was a camp reunion at camp that I was a counselor and the waterfront director, the ski director. I went back, and this current waterfront director, the current ski director, they didn't care about me. They didn't care about that I used to be in that position and did what they did when I was younger than they were. They had no interest in hearing about anything of the past, because to them, it was irrelevant. So I've come to the conclusion it's not about Team USA soccer. It's not about this group of players. It's a general thing that people have, and I'd like to blame it on your generation, except I was that way too. When I was there running something and the former team president would come, to me, it's, hey, you're the past, man. You don't get what's happening right now. And I did it. I did when I was younger, and now people who are young are doing it to people like me. It is a weird concept that has continued, and there's no end in sight. The respect shown. What's the expression, Coca? Respect your elders. Have you ever heard that expression?
Yeah.
Nobody does that. The way you respect Gramps, nobody respects their elders anymore.
But I think one of the differences in sports is that you can look at an organization and the way that they treat the legends that have come before and the way the players look up to these legends. So we always talk about the Dodgers as being the number one organization, in baseball, the way that they're run. And you look at them and the way that they treat the legends of that team, where people sort of talk in awe about what's happening, and they always bring people back. And the same goes for soccer too. So if you look at some of these other countries like the Germanys and the Spains and the Brazils, the way that they treat the legends of their games, goes a long way in how the rest of those organizations and the rest of those players are playing. Is they're saying, hey, I don't want to. You always talk about the name on the front of the jersey. And that is, to me, is like the ultimate show of respect, is you respect everybody who came before you. So with Team USA here, it's just like, look at the way that other leagues are treated by some of their, like, not every player is going to say nice things to you. It's not going to happen.
Are you talking about Pulisic? Are you talking about in the documentary when he said, I think they didn't want it. They didn't have the heart. Back in our day, we would fight. We would die on that field. And this is in the 8th episode of a docuseries you mentioned. I have not seen this, but what you're referring to is the older players have been critical of the new players, and now the new players are speaking out and saying those old players, they don't know squat about squat. Is that the issue?
Essentially, yeah.
That's a Tuesday, isn't it? I mean,
but that's what I'm saying, is that, like, I just feel like if you want your organization to be great, if you want to be great, like the Lakers, they're a great organization, and the way that they treat their alum when they come back to the games is a big difference between how James Dolan treats someone.
What do you mean? They get first row seats. Larry Johnson, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, they're all sitting first row.
Yeah, and who's the guy who's not even allowed in the arena?
Well, I miss Oak. Boy, do I miss Oak. But that's a personal thing between Dolan and Oak.
But that's what I'm saying, is like,
I'm
you
not
have to kiss up.
Dolan, by the way.
I'm just saying you have to kiss up to the owner in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's not a way of sort of being treated by the organization. That's kissing up to the owner. But I just think there is a big divide generationally between the players. It's just, if you are somebody like Christian Pulisic, you just can't come out and sort of say these things. I wish there was a way for them to come together, bring peace, because
Did
the
I
World Cup
the name wrong? Is it Pulisic or Pulisic?
Honestly, I'm just saying it, and I might have said it 4 different ways. I don't know if anybody
get mad
knows.
at me. You get angry with me when I mispronounce names.
Yeah, but we went over it. I don't think we went over this name before the show started.
Right here, Pulisic. Pulisic.
All right. Well, that's what we're going with.
I mean, can we go with Timothy Weah?
Yeah, I think that one we should be okay with.
Do you know how hard it is? I know the audience doesn't care as we head into the weekend here, but this whole pronunciation thing, it's a thing because I don't want to get it wrong, and I get it wrong all the time, and it's become one of those things that now I'm known for, as though I'm doing it purposefully. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's not apparent to me how to pronounce names. So you spell it out for me, which is what every great producer should do, and you're great at it. But now I'm concerned that what you spelled out for me, that may be wrong too.
Well, we'll have to find out about it next week, because the show's about to be over, and I'm out of here. Thank you, everybody.
It's another good week for Coca. God, do I love Fridays. Thanks for a great week. Guess what? We'll be back Monday. We'll do it again. It's just business. This is nothing personal.